Speaking about purchases, we have our next story, which is Apple hands off its credit card to JPMorgan. Uh, After a rocky multi-year partnership with Goldman Sachs, Apple has reached a deal for JPMorgan where's that? Here we go. Here's our headline. Um to take over Apple Card operations. The transition is expected to take roughly about 24 months, so for the next 2 years, with MasterCard staying on the payments network. Apple Card perks, including daily cash and the integrated savings accounts, will remain unchanged while Goldman exits the business with a substantial loss. Now, the reason why Apple's even doing this, and again, they tried to quietly do this during CES because everyone was covering everything else, because Goldman Sachs says, "Hey, Apple, this is a debt on our books, and the way that they're running it, it's just we have too many losses. We're going to hand it over to JP." I wrote about this. Again, I'm kind of reveling in the idea that everyone was raving about this card and how it was going to revolutionize and change the way we shop, which, to your point from the last story, it didn't. It just was a fancy, heavy card that they created with Apple's logo on it. Now, the other thing I wrote about was the danger of giving JP Morgan the Apple customers who bought into this. Now, admittedly, I don't think it's a huge portion of people who bought in the Apple card. But again, there's still a significant amount of people. And now JP Morgan, which is one of the bigger bankers, at least here in the US, is getting a boatload of new customers. And again, I think this kind of stifles competition. And JP Morgan is known to be not as customer friendly. It's going to be interesting to find out down the road, once the 2-year transition is complete, what new things as far as late fees and the way they handle insurance claims, things like that, will matriculate into the Apple card that is different from what people are experiencing now. So I would suggest you guys go read my piece for more details on it. But what are your thoughts on Apple calling it quits on the Apple card?
Saw it coming. Agree. I'm gonna sum this up this way. Saw it coming. Agree with everything you said. As somebody that has had Chase cards in the past, I agree with your, customer friendly statement there. They just don't have that customer friendly feeling. It's more of a, we are a business, we want your money. That's just the vibe that they put across. Maybe that's not what they mean, but that's the vibe that comes across. And the folks that have got the Apple card are a unique group. I'm not saying anything bad about that group of people. They're just a unique group of people. They're Apple fans. And I think they expect to pay more, but I see the Apple card going away at some point.
I agree. I feel like JP Morgan's business model is where you're going to go. I'm sure they have that just right above the door in every office where you're going to go. The next story we got is Xbox Cloud Gaming coming to Hisense. Did I say pronounce it? Hisense TVs. And that's one that you were particularly highlighting. But I'm going to give a brief explanation and I'll let you get more into it. Microsoft is expanding its Xbox Everywhere strategy by bringing the Xbox app and cloud gaming to select Hisense TVs. So if you got yourself an old one from 6 years ago, don't get excited. And V homeOS powered TVs in 2026. Game Pass subscribers will be able to stream major titles without a console. Again, reinforcing that idea that Xbox consoles suck, but the controllers are great and the games are still there. That's all you need. What are your thoughts on them kind of expanding their footprint, at least on TVs?
I look at this in a unique way, I think. Hisense TVs are more inexpensive than your Samsung and your LG. I've actually got a couple of their TVs. I've got one to my left here in what I call the media/game room, and I've got another in a bedroom. Are they Samsung quality? No. Are they, Samsung OLEDs? No. Do they offer you a good picture depending on what model you get? They, just like everybody else, they've got lower end models all the way up to their new U7 and U8 series. You get up in the U7 and the U8 series, you've suddenly got something that, in my opinion, can compete with Samsung. But I think most people, when you're shopping, you're looking at these TVs as value to just, get you what you need. Not everybody needs or wants a home theater in their house. So when I saw this story come out, the first thing that came to mind was finally an inexpensive TV that most people can get to, that most people can financially reach, that will have Xbox Cloud and Xbox connectivity. That's a big deal because when they first put all this out, it was strictly Samsung. And I get it, with the Samsung partnership that Microsoft had, it was strictly Samsung. And then last quarter of last year, I remember writing up a story where it kind of went to LG, but still, it was still in that higher end TV. So this is the first step to what I call a customer friendly brand of television. So maybe people start to catch on to what Xbox Cloud is. They can buy their controller, they can download their app, they can play their games. I think that's what Microsoft needs. Maybe this is two things in one podcast. We've got the Developer Direct, we've got the Hisense TV. So come on, Microsoft, keep the flow going. Remember who buys your consoles. Remember who buys your products.
Remember who buys your consoles, but also remember, who's buying Hisense TV is not going to be necessarily able to pay, pitch $40-$50 for a subscription. Keep your prices, static or stagnant this year. Like this, again, if you want people to adopt this more, you gotta get them hooked first, and keep it a long reel. With that being said, we were talking about partnerships, I think, a little bit ago. Microsoft also partnered with the Midwestern grid operator, MISO. I wrote about this. I'm going to give you kind of a brief overview of what it is. We got Microsoft struck a deal with MISO, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, to integrate its AI forecasting tools directly into the region's grid mapping and operations. This is partnership trained in the modernization effort, but critics warn it gives Microsoft unprecedented influence over how energy is allocated, which resources get prioritized, and how quickly new transmissions are built. With AI data centers driving massive new electricity demands, the deal raises concerns, at least I wrote that it raises concerns about private tech companies shaping public interest in infrastructure. But Microsoft pitched it as, hey, we're the benevolent tech company contractor that will upgrade your infrastructure with just the small tax of giving us all your electricity. I fear rising cost, fewer citizen-led votes on how the energy is allocated and to whom it's done for. But what are your thoughts on these tech companies? Again, Microsoft isn't the only one getting embedded into the grid system the way that they are.
I think tech companies need to stay in their lane when it comes to stuff like this. I get it. You need it. You want it. Yada, 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 yada. You need access to it. And maybe there are some bartering deals there that take place to make that work. But I think this is just a start of what AI is going to do to us overall. And I think we're starting to see that as something we're going to talk about. We've got why do they want into power? They want into power because they've got to power the AI beast. That's the only reason they want into power. Just like, our RAM prices, our memory prices are going up. Okay, you need that DDR5 to power that server that is plugged into that power grid. What else are you going to need? Are you going to need water to cool it, and my water bill going to go up, or is Microsoft going to start making deals, for H2O?
I wouldn't put that past them. Probably already on the table.
I have, when somebody first reads this, it's kind of like everything else. It doesn't impact me, so right now I'm not worried. It's already impacting you. Pick up your cell phone. There's memory in there. You're going to want it. You're going to want to use it. Well, what if the next iPhone goes up $150 because of memory prices? What if the next Samsung goes up $150 because of memory prices? What if flash memory that's your storage in your phone goes up $150. What if they both go up? So we need to start thinking about what we're giving up to get AI and if it's worth it. And I think these tech companies just need to stay in their lane and figure that out. And maybe if it's adjusting cost of your AI services to compensate for what you use, so be it. If it's a good enough service, if it becomes high end, people will pay for it. Kind of like what we just talked about, Apple laptops, or Apple computers. They're considered a boutique type machine for a lot of people. They are more expensive than standard PCs in a lot of cases. They're good. People buy them. That's why Apple is $1 trillion company. I'm okay with the cost of AI going up. Stay in your lane, tech. Get out of everyday services.
Couldn't have said it better. Speaking about staying in your lane, our next story is one that's been infuriating me. It's been happening all week. It feels like probably even into last week as well. But the company Twitter, known as X, is under intense scrutiny after its Grok AI images generated or produced sexualized images of minors and real people without consent. Instead of announcing technical safeguards, X blames users for prompting illegal content and threaten account suspensions and legal consequences. They also recently, I think I want to say as of yesterday or today, announced that they are putting the sexualized images of minors behind a paywall. That's their solution. You could pay to do it. Free people. You no longer get this. And so that should get rid of all the problems because no one's going to pay to put those disgusting illegal prompts in. Critics argue that the company is dodging responsibility for AI-generated CSAM and maybe violating App Store policies, prompting renewed calls for Apple to intervene. The reason why I've been so upset about this story is because no one's talking about it. Apple and Google have separately gotten rid of apps that do this on their own, but they have not mentioned or said anything about getting rid of X, which I feel like they should. I wrote about this, I believe, last week or earlier this week about Microsoft's involvement with their partnership to use the LLMs that power Grok AI and how this is kind of a bad look for any tech company that's still partnered with or advertising on X. I feel like they should all be getting ready to go. There's just before I hand it to you, there's a brief story from I forget the outlet. I'll have to get this later on in the show notes. That is found private text messages from the prime ministers in the European Commission saying that Europe should be getting off of X and hopefully setting a precedent, all in part due to the sexualized images of minors being rampant on this platform. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I just put this in our private chat for you. I'm doing this on the fly, so deal with me here. There's a post on one of our fellow news websites on NeoWin that they're talking about. The European Commission has officially ordered Elon Musk X to retain all internal documents related to its AI chatbot until at least the end of 2026, including illegal imagery reports. Now,
breaking news.
Here's my thing on this. Again, thanks to NeoWin for posting this, and we're happy to give them a shout out and happy to help other outlets where we can. But this bothers me. This bothers me greatly. I am a protector of people. I am a protector of children at all costs. And when we allow any AI engine, not just Grok, to be able to produce in what is widely considered inappropriate content, and it produces it so well that it looks real. People already have a hard time scrolling through social media. I found a news story this morning. I was just, doing my morning scroll. Everybody does it. And it was from a popular TV show. I'm going to leave the TV show name out. That somebody on that TV show had died. Now, it was obvious to me it was fake, but there were thousands of likes and comments. Sorry, condolences, prayers, etc. These people actually believed it. And I get it. Everybody's scrolling at hyper speed. Nobody takes time to read anything. And I'm going to stay off the soapbox here, I promise. But I have an issue when nobody stops inappropriate content or anything remotely close being produced by AI. It all started with the Taylor Swift stuff back when AI first started. We should have put a can on it right there. That should have been it. I don't know how to stop it. I'm not an AI programmer. But we want to talk about we need to spend millions of dollars and get on power grids and get on, whatever we need to keep AI alive. What do we need to do to keep it safe? And if you can continue to put these language models out on what feels like a weekly basis at this point, somebody's putting out a language model every week or an update to a language model every week or a new option or a new service. Take that same 45 minutes, that 90 minutes, or whatever you spent that week to put that out, to figure out how to keep your model from producing inappropriate content. Period. End of story. It's not that hard. Just do it.
Yeah. Again, one's couldn't have said it better. We'll keep you guys updated on that particular story because it affects us all.